Hello, welcome to this video. I previously unboxed this, but I have never actually tried powering it on. It's an old Compaq with an Intel Celeron designed for Windows XP. It's got this little thing here that is designed to accept sort of CD trays from laptops, but I don't have one, so if I need to boot from a CD, this could be difficult. And inside, if we have a look, there's this large sort of removable top, and inside, oh, we're missing the IDE cable, so we're missing the drive and the cable. And then we've got this processor here with a fan there, and it looks like this has been adapted to allow two kind of drives to be connected. This is not standard, I'm pretty sure of that. And then there's a graphics memory upgrade slot there, and we've got one stick of RAM, but the main issue, I think, that I can see straight away is that these capacitors are bulging. All of these along here, so that might cause an issue. This is the cable for the fan, plugged into the motherboard there. And we've got a battery down here, and it's pretty dusty. This is a proprietary connector here, so it's not a standard ATX. It looks like it's half the length. There's a fan on the back of the power supply, and it's a 50 watt max power supply. So first thing first is to try it. Basically, I can't test the power supply because I don't have, this is non-standard. I mean, I could check the voltages on these, but that may not, tell me that much really, or tell me the voltages of these bits, but not the rest of the system. So there's limited value in that really, but let's just try it and see what happens. This is quite interesting. On the back we've got video, audio connections and USB, but there don't seem to be any standard keyboard and mouse connections, so designed for USB, unless this can be removed and there's something under here maybe, or maybe this was a little pen holder. Maybe it was designed for some kind of touchscreen system. Yeah, there's nothing down here. Maybe this comes off. Yep, looks like that comes off. And then there is a different connector here. So that's interesting. It might have connected up to, say, a touchscreen system, especially if this held some kind of pen. But anyway, let's connect up the power and the monitor and see what we get, if we get anything. Okay, so I'm going to switch the monitor on before this. There we go, and then I'm going to plug the power cable in for this. So here we go, plugging the power in now. Got a light up there. Got a bunch of beeps. This is spinning. Not sure if this is spinning. I can't really see what's going on there. And the light's on the front, so it has switched on, but I'm not getting anything on the screen. Let's try holding that down. Okay, that's switched it off. Gonna try switching it on. So there's one short beep, one long beep, and then one short beep. The first thing I'm going to check is the memory. Let's try reseating this. Nothing on there, it doesn't say anything. I'll try this other slot. Let's try switching it on. Same beep again. Switch it off and I'll try the memory in the original slot again. Okay, I've put the memory back in here. I'm trying again. And we're getting the same beep. Switching it off, I'm going to press the CMOS button and hold that for a little bit. I don't think it's going to do anything, but I'm going to try it anyway. And I'm going to try switching it on again. Nope. I'm going to try replacing the CMOS battery. I've put a fresh CMOS battery in. I'm going to try and switch it on again. Nope. So I'm going to try take the CPU out, put it back in, see if that makes any difference. Not sure about this clip mechanism. Not really sure how it works. And it is also made out of plastic. Plastic gets pretty brittle. I don't want to break the plastic. This is probably very firmly stuck onto the processor. Okay, so I've got the clip off. Next is the heatsink. Kind of looks pretty firmly stuck onto the processor, and the clip to release the processor is down here, so this is going to be probably very difficult to remove. Looks like the fan isn't stuck, so that's good, but this is also bulging. I'm just going to check if this fan works. Yep, this fan does work, so that's good. It's quite quiet. I'm surprised how quiet this is. Oh, what is happening? It's switched on. It's counting the memory. It's got up to... Oh, it's still going. Maybe it's got 256 megabytes of RAM. Maybe wiggling the processor made it work. It's still going, so maybe it's got 512 megabytes of RAM. We also don't know what the processor is at the moment. There's no drive, so it's not going to try and boot into Windows. So 512 megabytes of RAM. System configuration is changed. Automatically updated. I do need to plug in a keyboard. It says it's a Compaq Evo D500 USDT. I've plugged in a USB keyboard. I can press F1 to save configuration. It'll probably reboot. And let's see if we can go into setup. Time and date not set. We're in the setup. System information. Wow, it's an Intel Celeron 1.3 gigahertz running at 100 megahertz. So that's much newer than I was expecting. And yeah, you don't see many 1.3 gigahertz Celeron processors. It's got a L1 and L2 cache, 32 and 256 KB, 512 meg RAM running at 100 megahertz. And this is the BIOS up to 2001. You can set date and time. Storage, we don't have any storage. But maybe we can boot from USB. Boot order, USB device, it does support that. Security, power, advanced. There's no hardware information in here, so I'll try and put a USB drive in and see if it boots. I suspect I need to set up a USB drive that is older than the one I've got in at the moment. Okay, I've tried an old memtest USB drive and it's not booting. So I think I'm going to have to come back to this at some point when I have found a bootable USB that is old enough to work with this system. The other alternative is to connect a drive with an operating system and try and boot from that. Yeah, that might be an option. So I had a bit of an idea, and that idea is to use these combined with a cable that has two connections so that I can connect a hard drive and an optical drive so that I can try and load Windows XP from a CD onto this drive, and we'll see how that install process goes. So I've got an optical drive, a CD-ROM drive. Tend to have better luck with CD drives when installing Windows XP compared to DVD drives. So hopefully this will all work and we'll see what happens. So I'm going to plug the power in, switch the monitor on. Switching this on. Okay, so the CD drive is working, hard drive is spinning up. Back to having beeps on this system. Let's try and reset the CMOS. Switch it off and on again a few times. I haven't fitted this clip back on this kind of, it's definitely very firmly stuck to the CPU. I think these capacitors are probably going to need replacing for this to be a reliable system. Okay, I reseated the memory and it's powering up. If we press F1, I'm not sure what's on this drive. This drive might be blank, it might have something on it. I think it's probably blank. Yeah, so I'll try and find a Windows XP install CD and we'll try and boot from that. I've just set the little jumpers on the back of these drives to make sure they're correctly set. Hopefully now it will see these. Let me just check in the BIOS what is happening. Oh yeah, now it's got the disk. Following were automatically updated. We've got the 160 gig drive, the CD-ROM drive, and we can save those changes. We should get the ability to boot from these. There's probably nothing on this drive. And it's booting from the CD-ROM into Windows setup. Okay, so we've got an error code. I think this will probably be a drive error, perhaps. This disk is in pretty good condition. I think this was made relatively recently, so I might have to swap out this optical drive until I find one that works. So I have used this CD-ROM drive. This is a 52 speed compact disc CD-ROM drive by Samsung, and it has worked with XP and 98 SE for me previously, so I know it works, and I've used the same CD drive and I've got this far. And even though the USB keyboard worked in the BIOS, I was able to press F1 to continue. It's not working in this Windows XP setup, and oh, it is now. It wasn't earlier. So okay, I thought I was stuck. I'm not stuck. I can carry on with the XP install. It's playing music. I don't normally hear the music on installs. It must have a built-in speaker somewhere. So we've got the music for the Windows XP welcome bit. The system is using about 61 watts from the wall, even though this is a 50-watt power supply. And we're in Windows XP. So we can see it's using 105 megabytes. And we have 522 megabytes total physical memory. So yeah, it's really quite impressive how little memory Windows XP uses. Let's have a look at my computer. We've got Intel Celeron 1300, 512 megabytes of RAM, and Windows XP Professional Service Pack 3. In Device Manager, it's got the graphics driver already. It's got a network adapter. It's got the processor, which is single core. It's got this sound drivers. I think we've got all of the drivers installed, including USB, the mouse, the monitor, plug and play, keyboard, IDE, Ultra ATA, and we've got this Samsung CD-ROM drive, as well as this Western Digital 160 gigabyte hard drive. So now that we've got Windows XP installed and working, we could put this back in here and put the system back together, and would have a working machine. And we should be able to connect up USB drives if we need to put things on this computer. I'm kind of surprised that it just kind of works. Even with all of these capacitors that are bulging slightly. Ideally, it would be good to replace those, but for the time being, we've been able to install it without any errors with this CD-ROM drive. And we've used these IDE connectors here. It's using around 51 watts. When it's idling, it's not doing anything now. The CPU usage is pretty minimal. It's currently running at 800 by 600 24-bit, so we can turn this up to a higher resolution. And we've got the choice of Windows XP or Windows Classic style. And there's an option to have large fonts, so let's just go for that, see what happens. Okay, so it's made all of these larger here, but not made this text larger here. Of course, we've got the Bliss wallpaper. It's quite a nice wallpaper that I've never really looked at. I think with Bliss being such a good wallpaper, why would you ever kind of have a look at any of the other wallpapers that exist, but I know a lot of people picked the this one. I've seen that quite a lot. Fish, dog. Quite modern looking wallpapers in here actually. And these just completely change the look of the desktop. And of course I'm going to go back to Bliss. I've just run a quick crystal disk mark to show this read and write speeds of this drive. 60 megabytes read, 58 megabytes write speed, which is a speed I got when I tested this on a different system at some point. And I may as well see if it runs Quake 3. Oh dear. It doesn't look like it's going to run at the moment. That's a shame. So it looks like it has a problem, can't start the OpenGL driver. And there's one more thing I want to show you on this system before finishing this video, is this bit here, designed by Compaq engineers in Houston, Texas. So that's a nice little bit of detail there. So I think I'll just put this in here, put it back together, and then we've got a working Windows XP machine. It's a shame that Quake 3 is not running on it, but I guess in its current situation there's not much we can do about that. There's no kind of expansion port, and yeah, it's just a basic little office machine, I guess, running Windows XP. If you got this far in the video, thank you for watching. Feel free to subscribe, hit a like or leave a comment. Let me know if you've used systems like this, and see you in another video. Bye.